Hey guys, this is part 2 of the Terminator build, and I'm going to show you what I am doing in this episode and what I have done when the camera wasn't rolling. I started making some ball joints. This is the wrist joint and this is the ankle joint. So this piece comes off. A 1-inch ball goes in there. Splatter in there. A 1-inch ball goes in there. This slides over it. That hole is 1 inch, of course, to fit the ball. This hole is 7/8, and a 16th on each side to fit that. So it can't come out through here, but it can swivel and rock, and then I'm going to weld a piece of bar to the ball without this in it. I'm going to do that separately and then clean it up so there's no weld on it. That will slide over, and then it'll set screw or pin onto this shaft. Same deal with this, 1-inch ball, same size, everything. It's just that this is a bigger tube and this is a thicker wall tube. So this one I can probably set screw it directly. This one's so thin I probably can't set screw that without welding a nut onto the outside. In fact, I know that I can't. So that's what I've done in terms of kind of big stuff. I need to do quite a few other ball joints also. All of these need a ball joint on the top and the bottom, or the top and the bottom, whatever. All of these need ball joints, these two, and these. This has the 3-inch ball, and then it's going down to a 3/4 ball down here. Aside from that, I welded the caps on a lot of them, and that's actually what I'm doing right now. You can see I have a bunch cut for the bigger ones. I didn't have the bar size that I needed to cut the caps for a lot of these. They're actually plugs. They go inside the tubing and not on the surface. So how I'm doing these, I want these to look like they're legit cylinders. I want them to look like they're heavy duty, milled out of a solid piece. That's why I cleaned up the weld so it looks like it's, you know, thick all the way through and not just a thick piece and then welded to a thin tube. So I cut these 1/4-inch plugs out of, these are 1 7/8 and these are 1 5/8. But basically it's a 1/4 inch thick, and you get those cut lines in it, and so instead of just cutting it out of a piece of plate or a piece of thin sheet metal that's the same thickness as this, you get the actual really heavy bar look. It looks like it's actually heavy duty because once you weld that on and clean up the welds, it looks like it's solid. And then it looks like this was actually cut out of a solid piece and then machined down. So it just adds to that effect of making it look like it's really heavy duty, make it look like it's really a functional piece. And it just looks cool. And it welds a little bit better because it's thicker. If you ever weld with a magnet like that to hold a plug on the inside of a tube or something like that, we do it quite a bit. Magnets mess up electric arcs. The magnetic field, it just messes it up. So about where I was welding, how far away I'm there, I'm doing pretty good. If it was a stronger magnet, it would really mess it up really bad. You know, if you're welding a smaller tube where you have to have it really close, it barely welds at all. It's terrible, but it's a good trick. If you're doing bigger tubes, use a magnet, helps out a lot. So I was waiting on the ball joints to come, and lo and behold, we have balls of steel. Got 3-inch diameter, 1-inch diameter, 3/4 diameter, and 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch are for the wrist joints, 3/4 are for the ankle joints, 1 inch are for, what are the 1 inch for? 1 inch are for the main wrist joint and the main ankle joint, as opposed to the cylinders around the main joint. These are for the sides. If you look at a Terminator, on the sides of it, running along the edges of the spine, where the rib cage would be, there are 2 big cylinders, one on each side, and they both have a ball joint going up into the chest cavity and then coming down. So they're like that, running down the side, that's the top, and then a smaller ball joint at the bottom. And this basically just, when it rocks its spine, when the spine twists, or bends and flexes, this just kind of keeps it in place. And so we are going to do ball joints all day today. Oh joy. But yeah, anyway, these are unimaginably satisfying to play with. That sounds really wrong now that I think about it. But anyway, we're going to start welding balls of steel. I'm going to do a quick weld test to see how this welds cold, because it isn't completely steel. It's a chrome alloy nickel steel. It should weld okay. I tested it with a small ball bearing and it could be okay, but the thicker the steel, the denser and the colder it is, the more likely it is for the weld to simply crack off after it's been welded. So we're going to do a test and see how it welds. Now hit that with a chipping hammer. If it cracks, then we'll have to preheat this. If not, then we're good. And it looks like we're good. Awesome. Then some of you may know, some of you may not, if you're working with a hardened steel and you're welding it to another type of steel, or welding it at all, let it cool off on its own. Never quench it, because if you do, it would probably crack all the way around this and just fall off. Doesn't matter how good your weld is, it's just the heat difference and the hardness, the temper difference, it would just break. So this, once the ball joint is in it, will get plug welded on here. And I just realized this looks way too much like a light tank. Well, that is another episode done. I got all of the ball joints and the cylinders done for the forearms and started working on the ankles. I also got these two big ones that run along the sides of the spine done, and a whole bunch of extras that I didn't actually need, partially done. So how this generally works, that's going to be the wrist joint right there. The elbow is a little bit past, so it's this won't be attached to the elbow itself. The elbow's back here. And then this big main joint is going to be right on top. So basically the wrist, the hand pivots on this main joint. And then as it's moving, so say it tilted this way, this one would extend, this one would retract. Oh, it's retracted all the way. So basically, if that was the case, then both of these would extend. And this one would stay where it was and just pivot. And basically, these roll back and forth with the hand and forward and backward. And then to twist like your forearm twists, and the two bones inside, you don't have anything that spins in there. They just twist on each other, and that's what these ball joints will allow, is for the entire arm to twist without anything actually spinning. And the same joints for the ankles, and all of these are going to get the same joints as these but bigger, because this is the calf muscles cylinders and then the sides. So basically, if this was the leg, that's the calf, and then there's the two sides, and then the ankle joint is going to go where the wrist joint went. So that's all for this episode. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, and just as a heads up, I probably won't be able to continue doing these every week because I'm not able to get that much done between my real job, my main channel videos, and customer orders. I'm not going to be able to do these once a week, so I'll just do them as often as I can. Might be once a week, might be every other week. We'll see as time goes on.